This is a Breton templar, a request by some people, so I've done a lot of content with her. You can see there's a lot of titles on there. Okay, so let me go ahead and put on the food that I usually use, which is Witch Mother's Potent Brew. You can also use the Max Magica Max Health food as well. I usually keep Essence of Magica slotted just for the less difficult content. That Essence of Health is the tripots just in case of emergency, and then my spell power pots and mud ball, of course, for good measure. Okay, so my stats, this is what my stats look like with the potent brew on. So we notice the mag recovery is pretty high at 25. The max magica is at 33. They're almost 34. My spell damage is at 1461. This is without the spell power pot. I can go ahead and put that one on real quick just to show you what it looks like. Okay, so now my magic recovery is at 2873, and spell damage is up to 1753, and the crit's up to 41.9. Okay, so I have 44 points into Magicka and 20 into health because I want to use the Witch Mothers, and it keeps my health up to 17 in case there is not a tank with Eben around. It's really helpful so you don't get one shot if your shield drops. Okay, so let's go real quick over the gear. So I'm still using the Master's Restoration Staff. It's powered with a weakening enchantment. This does increase the healing done, and the initial heal of grand healing restores the stamina. Okay, and then on the back bar I have a Master's Lightning Staff with a Crusher enchantment. Okay. And I always keep on the set of Spell Power Cure Divines, okay, on my head and shoulders. And as you can see, this is what that does. Alright, so good for a group buff. I keep the purple jewelry on. If that gold ever comes available, I'll go ahead and get that. So it's easy just to keep it like that and then switch out your other sets on the body pieces. So I keep Mending Worm or Twilight Remedy on. Okay, so this is the mending set that I currently have on right now. I have Max Magica enchantments on all of my body pieces. Okay. And what I didn't show you real quick was the, I have the Atronach Mundustone on here. Okay, so that's what mending does. And I also have Worm Cult available. You can see what that does there. And then at times, I rarely use it, but Twilight Remedy. Okay, and on my jewelry, I have Magicka Recovery enchantments on there. They're all arcane. I do not use a monster helm. There are a couple different ones you can use if you need to, and in certain situations, like Vet Asylum Sanctorium hard mode. But I'm not going to go over those alternates. This is just the basic setup. So into skills here. This is my general bar setup. I do switch a couple of skills as needed, but this is generally what I have out as my baseline. So I have Ritual of Retribution. You can see what that does there. Elemental Drain, that really helps the Magicka tunes in the group. Blockade of Storms, this is my Destruction Staff. This is my back bar, by the way. And that helps with off balance, especially for all the stand tunes that are around, or the mag tunes that are using Fire Staff for their blockade. Use the Energy Orb, which is the Undaunted skill line, and that helps regenerate. I also use the Luminous Shards. And see what that does. It restores stuff. And then my ultimate that I use sometimes is Solar Prison. You'll hear it called Nova. Use that like in Vimal on the first boss is a good spot. Also in Hellraw sometimes you can use that. So my front bar is Combat Prayer. This is definitely a good one to always keep out. You can see what it does for self and others. This is to keep Harness Magicka on usually. There are times when you don't need to use that and you can just use Ward Ally, especially if there's Eben around. This is the Harness Magicka really comes in helpful on the last boss in VA, things like that, where you slot it and then just hit healing springs over and over again. You don't run out of Magicka. I use Honor the Dead. A lot of people use Breath of Life. That's what you'll usually hear. I just happen to do this one because it reduces the cost of it. So like there's not usually like 3 or 4 people that I need to heal all at once with the Breath of Life, so I usually do this, and then it helps me conserve a little bit of Magicka. Ward Ally is good to have in certain situations because it protects the lowest health ally, and especially if they're really low in health. I use Illustrious Healing. The other morph is Healing Springs. The Healing Springs gives back Magicka. This one lasts for 1 second longer, so I like pairing that with the Honor the Dead because this keeps people alive more, but whatever morph you want to use is totally fine. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, but it works really well for me. Then always have Aggressive Warhorn slotted on here as your healer. Okay, there's another a couple of things that I flex out when needed. Would be I don't have Barrier yet, and still need to just finish getting that. It's a good one to flex out as an ulti. Efficient Purge is something you're going to need in several situations. And let's see, occasionally use Inner Fire if you need to for helping with taking stuff. That's not a general thing. Just like using like VDSA, the last part. You'll have all your passives in your light armor. Restoration Staff, I also use Mutagen. Sometimes I flex that out for Ward Ally if you need to. This helps regenerate the health that helps people when they're about to kick it, I guess. It's another one you can use to flex out as well, like in Hellraw hard mode. Destruction Staff, sometimes you need to use Crushing Shock, but rarely. Make sure you have all the passives in your class skills. Occasionally you'll need to use Channeled Focus. This will help protect you in places like Vet Asylum or Vet Hellraw hard mode. Just put that down. I don't use it that much, so I'm usually fine without it, but that's another flex spot, and I usually put that on my back bar and take out like the orbs or the shards or the elemental drain if absolutely necessary. And let's see, you can also use Purifying Light if one of the Templars in the group isn't using it. And don't be one of those guys that uses this, because please just don't use it on your healer. Right. And I think that's about it for stuff that I flex out. Let me go ahead and look at the champion points. So this is just generally what I keep. You can do a little bit of flexing with the red tree, but I keep this in Warlord. Helps me not get stunned so I can keep people healed and myself alive. Then you have Tenacity here, and then Arcanist and Mooncalf. You do need stamina for things. Here I have 100 in Elfborn, 100 in Blessed, and then Summon an Elemental Expert. That helps with the blockade. And I just had a couple extra points. I threw them in there. The red tree you can change up a little bit, but this is generally what I keep for most trials. I have 14 Ironclad, Thick-Skinned, Elemental Defender, and Bastion, and Quick Recovery. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.